Welcome back to the Cantina. Welcome back to the Cantina Club. I'm Greedo. That's Gundark. We're experiencing some technical issues today, so it may or may not sound weird, look weird. Bear with us. We're talking about Ahsoka, episode 6.
Yeah.
And what was
Far,
the title of the episode?
far, far away, I believe. Far, far away.
Far, far away. Yeah. Carillion Traitor was boarded, and
He's
he
been
was apprehended.
detained. He's
He's
been
being detained.
detained. Yeah.
They're not believing his story at this point in time, but um, hopefully he can be back with us very soon. Did you read his message? Did he send an encrypted message to you about his opinion of the episode?
Yes, and I thought maybe we could start with that if
Okay,
that's
yeah.
okay.
I mean, he probably took a beating and was thrown in with a Wookiee or something in a cell for getting that encrypted message out. So,
Yeah, he took a big risk in sending this to us, so we're
so
gonna share it. Okay, you want me to read? I think we can read it and then
yeah,
make some commentary on parts of it.
that'd be great.
Okay, this is from the Traitor in Absentia. Overall, I liked the episode. It was great seeing Thrawn and
Overall, is never good. Hold on a second. Overall, is
overall,
never
yeah,
good. All right.
overall. Ding, 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 ding. It was great seeing Thrawn and Ezra, but I feel like the writers don't seem to know what to do. It's as though it was enough to just show them, oh, look, there's Thrawn. Cool. Look, there's Ezra. Cool. I feel like there
Cool.
was zero explanation about how and why Thrawn and his troops are in the shape that they're in. I was just confused and wanted to know more about that. And then he says other things, but I thought maybe we could talk about those points first.
Okay. What do you think?
I had the same feeling. That was my major problem with the episode. I enjoyed the episode overall, but I did, and I was glad that they introduced Thrawn for the back half of the season. I
Yeah.
was fearful he wasn't going to come until the very end of the final episode.
Yeah, we were all wondering about that. Whether he was just
Yeah,
going to show up at the very end.
yeah, and I thought it was a good idea to bring him on early, but I also feel like I wanted to know what the heck was he doing. It's 10 years, right? 10 years that he and Ezra have
You would
been,
think, yeah, something like that.
and it just seems like
Something like that, yeah.
it seems like he's been twiddling his thumbs all that time. Or something. I don't know. It's like
It
I
could be as
just
many as 12. Could be as many as 12. I'm not sure.
yeah,
Depends on how you count. We'd have to get the official timeline for the official answer. But I don't even think that stuff changes all the time whenever they want to
yeah,
change it.
yeah,
So, but Ezra, he disappeared before the Battle of Yavin,
yeah.
well before that, when the Republic was first, the rebellion was first starting. And then
It was about
and
six
we got
years
the whole
until
original trilogy. Then we've
yeah.
got whatever timelines happened since then in Mandalorian, which we heard always was about 6 years after Return of the Jedi, and it's been a good 3 or 4 years since then. So we're getting maybe close to, it could be 12, 15 years. I don't think it is from the way the
I mean,
Sabine looks.
the thing I liked about it, I loved Thrawn's introduction. I loved the music. I thought was some of the creepiest stuff I've heard in Star Wars.
The
It was
organ.
it was like some weird, and not only that, it had weird guttural cries and stuff run throughout the music. It wasn't just the stormtroopers; it was part of the music.
Right.
And then when that one stormtrooper Enoch turned to the camera, I called out an expletive. I freaked out that he was so creepy looking. It looked like somebody with a ancient Greek drama mask or something. It was like,
Yeah, we're about to see Oedipus Rex in
yeah,
action in another galaxy.
that's what it felt like. And I thought that was cool because it implied that he had developed a kind of cult among these followers. I don't even know if they were still his original troopers or what, or if it was inhabitants of Peridia, the planet that they went to.
Yeah.
But they seem like they were
Since you
cultish.
mentioned him, do you know the origin of the name Enoch?
Yes, I'm thinking about the biblical. Well, I'm thinking about the biblical Enoch. That's what I'm thinking of. The guy who walked
I
with
think that's probably
God.
the origin.
Yeah.
Right. You remember what happened to him?
Didn't he get called up to heaven to walk with God? I mean, he was
Yeah,
so faithful and he got called up and he
yeah.
lived forever or
The old
something.
man was no longer there. He
Yeah,
had vanished.
vanished.
Call back to the story of Star Wars record or what tape and record. Um,
Obi-Wan Kenobi have
yeah,
vanished.
no, I thought that was interesting that his number one, whatever he is named after a guy who walked with God and God took him up and vanished with him, which this is implying that Thrawn's a god for one thing,
Yeah,
and that also, just throwing in uh, references to epic stories of people vanishing and the mystery, and the mystery around the mystique that comes with vanishing and being part of a huge mystical plan that nobody knows what it is. Um, and I will say, when we're talking about Greek tragedy, we had Medea represented with the Night Sisters. It's the episode before, I guess, but I don't know. Claudia Black is one of the Night Sisters witches.
yeah,
Claudia Black from Farscape. You
yeah.
did know that?
Oh no, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, she's like the lead Night Sister witch is Claudia Black. She's wearing a ton of that
Yeah,
black and white makeup and red makeup on her face. But um, so anyway, yeah. Speaking of that, and there's Thrawn did have a look on his face, which was one of my problems, kind of with his introduction. Like he did marry his mother, and he just found out. It's like um, he just looked kind of sad, and he almost looked like he was enacting a tragedy that he already knew the outcome to. Several times he was just staring off into space as if like, do I really want to do this? Okay, like if I just felt like he was totally alone or something. And all the stormtroopers, they were completely inhuman. Like
yeah,
they were like programmed. And I've seen speculation online that they're zombies. That the Night Sisters have brought them back from the dead to keep serving Thrawn, and that's why their armor's been repaired with the gold and the red.
yeah. Did
Which
you
is
notice? I
a
don't know if you
reference to.
if you had the subtitles on while you were watching, but the subtitles called them night troopers. So I assumed it was something to do with the night
Night
sisters,
troopers, night
night
troopers.
troopers.
Um, yeah, yeah. There's obviously a gothic theme going on here, which I didn't expect. I thought part of Thrawn um, is that he's alien, but he's actually very human. Even he's lovable and huggable or anything, but that he uses the whole alien thing and overcomes it. And so giving him this intro that made him seem like a monster with a bunch of undead troops possibly and witches at his command. I just didn't expect the way this is going. I thought I thought he would have conquered this galaxy by now and would have put in a bunch of fair laws and stuff, and be a
See,
good ruler and
yeah,
everything. And I
yeah,
honestly, I thought it would go. But it looks
yeah,
to me like they got their asses handed to them by something.
yeah.
Like they showed up here and they're on the very edge of the universe or the galaxy trying to escape back because something's coming to finish them off or something. I mean, he didn't even care where Ezra was really.
Yeah, now that's a good
His
point.
number
I,
one
I
enemy.
hadn't I hadn't thought of that. I thought it was just a weakness in the writing that they were just going to say, "Oh, we're not going to concern ourselves with the decade or whatever that was there. We're just going to jump right back into him coming to this galaxy." But you got a good point because Balin
Yeah,
actually
if you're getting your
since
ass kicked by someone else, you may not worry about Ezra out in the,
yeah,
wasteland or whatever.
yeah, Balin sensed there was some power greater than the Dathomiri that was causing them to flee. So and that's the power that he was there to contact because he felt that it was going to lead to some kind of new order that would stop the cycle of
I
rise
have a
and
bad
fall.
feeling it's gonna lead with the way this gothic stuff is leaning. This is gonna lead to some kind of like possession storyline where something's gonna possess Balin, and make him into not the honorable character we know, and possibly bring about an alliance between Haiti, Shot, is it Shot, Haiti, Shot, how do you, Haiti, Shot,
Shin,
whatever,
Shin, yeah.
Shin, bring a alliance between Shin and Sabine because um, I almost feel like it was for Shin, she doesn't know what to do when she's like a cat with everything is prey. But
Mm.
then when she looks beyond that, she's like, here's someone
She's
that I
rethinking
might have
stuff.
things in
Yeah.
common with. Yeah,
Yeah.
for the first time, she might have more in common with another person than with her master, who obviously keeps her at arm's length with all the plans and everything. And she doesn't seem to always know or understand what he's doing. But anyway, I'm totally jumping into speculation. We're not talking about this episode, but Thrawn right out the gate. Okay. Uh, um, I put up a poll. If you think you can look on our page under community, do you know how to do that?
Let me see. Yeah. Give
On our
me.
YouTube page, if you go to our channel and find the community heading, there's like several bars across the top. You could choose. You go to community, or you can just go to our channel and look for the poll.
Yeah, I've got it. I've
I put
got
up a
it.
poll about Thrawn. Could you read it for me and just tell the results?
Let's see. Yeah. It's what was your initial reaction to the live action debut of Grand Admiral Thrawn? And the first choice was I love it and can't wait for more. Thrawn, Thrawn, Thrawn. And the second choice was it didn't quite deliver on the hype, but so far so good. And the third choice is something was off. I was underwhelmed. And the fourth choice is I was disappointed. It really let me down. And overwhelmingly 80% of the voters chose I loved it and can't wait for more. Thrawn, Thrawn, Thrawn.
Thrawn.
It's like, that's like, that's like.
Did you think of that, or was
No,
I the
I
only one?
didn't.
I instantly, as soon as they said Thrawn, it was like echoing. I went,
That's like, that's like, that's like.
this like. One guy trying to sound like 6 million or whatever from the old what was it called? Star Blazers cartoon.
Star Blazers, yeah.
And I really think Deathlock may have influenced Thrawn as a villain.
It may
There
have.
has to be some other way in the galaxy
And didn't
besides war.
Dustlock have blue skin too, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
blue
he like,
skin. I think he had orange eyes or
and
something.
he was a super
And he talked
tactician,
like
and
this all
yeah,
the time.
yeah. I hadn't thought
But
of
he was
that.
a super genius. Yeah, and but that intro to me I just felt like it was a direct throwback. That's like that, because that's how he was introduced in Star Blazers
Yeah.
with the massive army of one voice, one
And
guy trying to do
let
six
me
million
read
voices.
let me read the other results. There were 7% that said it didn't quite deliver on the hype, but so far so good. And that's the one I voted for just now. And then there were 11% that says something was off and I was underwhelmed, and only 2% said that it really let them down.
Okay. Well, I
So
voted. I don't think I got to vote, but I would have voted for underwhelmed. Something was off, and I was underwhelmed. But I'm between that and wait and see.
yeah.
Because they didn't. What disappointed me, I think, and there's a lot of fans out there that are when I read people's reactions and stuff, they're getting sick of fans criticizing the show, and we're not trying to criticize to be mean or anything, or because it's just. And they always say, "You guys criticize the show, always blame bad writing." What does that even mean? And so I'm gonna use that as a crutch. I don't know if it was bad writing or good writing or what, but I just would have thought for his intro, rather than him just marching in, they might have had something to show us, like an incident where we could see him in action and see
Yeah.
why he's formidable, or we could see like an envoy from another planetary system bowing to him and saying, you know, we're going to pay you tribute. You completely, so you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
something to show us. There was a good display of power, but it was more creepy to me than anything. And then his attitude was like, it just seemed and also, I don't want to criticize the look and everything, but to me, his look was a little bit of a miss. Um, just my initial reaction to it, I almost busted out laughing because it made me think of like Charlie Chaplin or somebody playing Hitler, in a comedy, Hitler or Mussolini. He just looked kind of like a sad blue Hitler or Mussolini. And that's what it struck me, is like, why is he sad? He just seems sad to me. And I'm expecting a Dracula storyline now, like where his bride, died and he's trying to bring her back or something. But but no, just the kind of way his hair was swept to one side, almost Hitler like, and his uniform wasn't a great fit or something. I
Yeah.
didn't see like slouched or something a little. Um, and to me, some of the scenes struck me as blue screamy. Like we're in the
Yeah.
volume again, and so that all combined together to go tin pot dictator. For me, I was like, I'm not buying this guy. Um,
That
and if you
stuff
have to have a
that
bunch of zombies programmed to say your name when you come in a room, that's just weird. It's like a
yeah.
doorbell. You're so
That
arrogant. You
that
have to have.
stuff didn't bother me. I thought he looked fine, and I was actually impressed by the 12 chiclets on, on his chest because
Oh, you counted. You
I'm
counted the
not
chicklets.
used to seeing. I'm not. I think I haven't seen an Imperial with that many chiclets in live action before, so
I would have
it was
thought in a distant galaxy, fresh breath would have been more of a priority than keeping those on your
they
chest.
came
But
in the
I thought he
chiclet.
would have whittled it down to maybe a couple by now. But no, I thought they're keeping him a mystery
Mhm.
instead of showing us why he's badass. They're keeping it a mystery, and that's dangerous to me because we all know mysteries can be a completely empty box and totally
Mhm.
underwhelming. So it just shakes me up a little bit. Whereas I hope it delivers. I hope we didn't come all this way to another galaxy just to have kind of nothing. I want them to do some real world building, and I want there to be a point to all this. And
That was my worry too. Is that that's how I
are we
felt. It
going for
was
more? Are
like
we going to another galaxy
it.
for more of the same?
Yeah, it was like they just skipped 12 years without really much explanation. I like the kind of mystery of the cult following and how it looked like he had been, like you said, they were on the edge of everything, like they were barely holding it together. His Star Destroyer was like
He's been
cobbled
repaired.
together. And even the weird music when he's introduced is kind of like the cobbled together weird power that relies on creepy
Mm-hmm.
rituals, and
Mm-hmm.
I kind of liked that, but I wanted a more of a sense that he why that got there and what he's actually been doing in the 12 years that he's been gone or however many years and why he couldn't find Ezra in all that period. He's like a super tactician and you
Yeah,
tell me that he can't
Ezra's a
find
couple of
Ezra?
hours ride away,
Yeah,
which I pointed out. If you take a TIE fighter, that's 5 minutes.
yeah.
You know,
Unless
and
the only thing I could think is that
which we haven't gotten to that yet. But
maybe
spoilers, Ezra's in
as
the episode.
maybe Ezra's been using the Force somehow to hide from him, and he thinks that having Sabine there could draw Ezra out or something. I don't know. I didn't understand his reasoning for sending Sabine out to get Ezra. So why he couldn't get Ezra in the 12 years or whatever that he's been out
That kind
there.
of made me suspicious at first. Like I thought she was going to find something completely unexpected, or Thrawn already knew Ezra and they are working together.
Yeah,
And so he knew it wouldn't be any danger really to send her out there. She'd just be disappointed. But it more seemed like they were saying, like, well, if they locate Ezra, we can take them all out in
yeah,
one strike or whatever. And
yeah. But I just want
yeah,
more sense. I get the feeling that they're just gonna like ignore what happened in the interim, and that we're not even gonna really see this other galaxy. We're gonna jump right back to our galaxy. I wanted a little bit more, like you said, world building. I loved the
mhm.
Dathomir sisters. I liked the arrival in a new planet. I didn't care for some things were a little bit too derivative of the other galaxy that we know. I thought like the
Right.
bandits were too much like the bandits that attacked Sabine were too much like the Tusken Raiders.
Well,
Um,
even the Night Sisters, I thought was little weird because they're pretty much, for all intents and purposes, the same as they are in the Star Wars galaxy, and it's been a millennium, and they haven't changed at all.
yeah, that
Like their
was kind of
planet is still this primitive planet of superstition, and um, that was weird. It's like
yeah,
how many successful cults do you have? I mean, I know they have real power, but how many last that long and just keep the planet exactly the same as the people? Like they probably spoke the same language, and there seemed to be no issue. Like what I mean? It's like there's supposed to be a huge divide here, but
yeah,
we come to a place that is very cool. I like it and everything, but there's nothing radically
right,
different
right,
about it
exactly. If it's far, far away, I
so
want
far.
something
So far,
really different. Yeah. I want something that is that's going to be exciting and new or surprising or something. And nothing really was surprising about this episode except Enoch turning to the camera. And being named Enoch, a
Yeah,
stormtrooper with a name who's not a clone trooper.
I thought let's get to let's tackle Ezra next, and then we'll go back
Okay.
for some of the details. But that was the one thing I thought was surprising when Ezra just kind of anticlimactically said, "Hey, what's up?"
Yeah.
Like he almost knew this was, another cartoon episode, and they had many more to go. His life isn't at stake. What did you think about Ezra?
I like the actor. I was really impressed as to how much he looked like Ezra from Rebels. That I know that
Yeah,
they put him in blue contacts. I could tell that, but he still just looked physically like the character from the cartoon. I was kind of shocked where he was just at the end of their conversation. It's just I'm ready to go home, and it's like, about that.
yeah. After that many years, yeah.
Like, are you
I
gonna
thought
get
he'd have
home?
something urgent. Usually it's like, no, I can't leave. I have this unfinished
Yeah,
that you have to help these people or that. I don't know.
yeah, yeah,
I'm almost okay. I'll say I really liked him. First
mm.
off, I just again he was just there, like Carillion said. I hate to agree with the traitor on everything, but he was just kind of there. I did like their hug and everything.
Mhm.
Like, if you can start to see these characters as the extension of Rebels, which I totally could. I don't know if everybody else can, but I totally could see this. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
this is them. Um, uh, it was a little bit of an emotional moment, even
mhm.
though I'm not the biggest Rebels fan or anything. It did carry some weight when they were reunited. After all the buildup, would I have liked it to be a little more? Probably. Just it would have
Yeah,
elevated the episode somehow if there had been. But every twist you can think of probably has been done a million times before. And so they probably said, let's just make it an anticlimax. She just walks in the village and there he is, no
yeah,
big deal. And maybe it's a setup for it just being too easy for some reason. That's what I was thinking. Is like this can't be right. Is this simple? Are
yeah.
they casting a spell on her, messing with her mind? Is this an impersonator? Like somebody that she thinks look in her mind she sees Ezra, but it's not Ezra. Is he dead and that's his ghost? But obviously that wasn't the case. She went and hugged him. Um, and I will say one cool detail that I saw on the internet, which I didn't catch, and the thing was, he's wearing like a silver shirt, kind of like Frodo and Bilbo's mithril shirt, sticking out of his clothes a little bit.
Mhm.
It's all this silver, looks like chain link or whatever, chainmail. But somebody pointed out, I don't know if it's true or not, because they could have doctored the image, but I think it's true that those are dog tags. So
Okay.
the only thing that makes sense is those are Imperial dog tags, which means he's been
Oh.
taking trophies the whole time.
Oh, well, they made a real important point of having Thrawn step aside and say when Morgan wanted to send more stormtroopers after
Our
Sabine,
numbers
and
have declined.
yes, he even paused. There was a long pause there, and he looked kind of weird. And he said, "Since our exile, our numbers have really dwindled." And I began to think, like, wow, they're like in kind of dire straits now, So golly, okay, that may be, I'm getting intrigued, but it's
Well, it
probably not
depends
going to
on,
tell me anything. I want to know what
yeah.
happened between them in the interim. I want to know what's been
You
going
think
on
about
between
you
them.
think about historical expeditionary missions. They usually don't go well at first, and the most remembered ones are the ones that end in tragedy, mystery. Where the people disappear, or there's a memorable commander that held the things together that turned it into a triumph for his group in the end. And there's several commanders that held people together way past what they should have and still ended up dying. So you could look at it if we knew how terrible the situation was and how overwhelmed Thrawn was. You could take it as a testament to how good he is as a
Yeah,
commander. That he held these troops together. Now, if they're reanimated and they're mindless zombies, I think it's more the Night Sisters than him, right?
yeah.
Um, so, but a lot of people seem to like this theory. They want zombies in Star Wars and stuff, and I guess it would give you the chance to kill them without remorse, without having to explain we're not actually killing human beings, we're
But
killing
would
the people
zombies
that are
have
dead.
like a religious devotion? That I just got the real feeling of religious ritual creepiness from those
Hmm.
stormtroopers,
And
especially Enoch.
that just seems like a weird thing for the Thrawn we know to fall back on.
Yeah. But he
Is
would
it amusing
know. I
religion?
don't know that I agree with that. He was always interested in indigenous cultures, when he would pick up the art of the
I know,
various.
but he made it clear he was not part of that.
Yeah,
That he
but
was
I
a
don't know that
scientist.
he's part of it. I think that he's using it to his advantage. You
What do you
see what
call
I
a
mean?
scientist that studies cultures? I mean,
An
that's what he is.
anthropologist. Yeah,
He's a
yeah, but
military
an
anthropologist.
anthropologist can go bad. They can use.
Well, then we're talking Heart of Darkness, right?
Yeah.
We're talking Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
That's the vibe he was giving me was the horror of the horror.
Yeah, you're right. And I don't think that's really Thrawn either. But I
Does he
don't know.
is he stuck in a situation where when these guys are reanimated, they worship him because they're programmed that way, and so he's just uncomfortably having to play this prophet deity figure,
Or
and
is
he
it
feels alone because they're dead.
if those dog tags are Ezra's armor, if he has been picking off Thrawn's original troopers, are these troopers from the indigenous population that he has somehow he's like a mythic
Well,
character
that's
to
a good point
them,
too.
that he's recruited through playing on some
That he
local
showed up in their
myth.
universe and elevated them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, that's a good theory. I haven't heard that one.
yeah. I would like that
I think
better
most
than
people are just
zombies.
assuming since they went to so much trouble to repair their armor. Yeah, I mean they could have properties of zombies, but just because of their radical beliefs or whatever. Um, okay, so Ezra, we're in agreement, was really good. The intro
Mhm.
was underwhelming, though. I felt like it
Yeah,
was literally like an on-purpose anticlimax. It felt like they just
yeah,
had. It's almost like they're saving their budget for the next episode, and
yeah.
so. Um, but it's good to have Ezra in with still a couple episodes left to
Hmm.
go. I was afraid we weren't going to get this. I couldn't help but think if Zev or Zeb, whatever his name is, had been there, how cool a reunion that would have been,
Mm,
also. And we
yeah,
finally get to see most of the rebels share screen time of one kind or another.
yeah.
But anyway, that'll be for a future thing maybe, and budget allowing. So what did you think about the planet? The planet was the other star of this episode, I felt like, which I don't even know the name of this planet, but the
Peridia.
backdrop, the setting, and the journey across the planet was the other part of this that was interesting. Any thoughts
Yeah.
on that?
I love the hinges. The one that they traveled from in the regular galaxy to this one.
Is that
Um,
like Stonehenge, you mean?
yeah, the stone circles or whatever they are, the temples.
Hmm.
And I liked the Night Sisters. Carillion also loved the Night Sisters. He said and he wanted to see more of them. They had a kind of Three Weird Sisters of Macbeth vibe to them or something, which
Hmm.
is bad.
Yeah,
You're like, oh my God, okay, this is bad.
it's bad for
Um,
Thrawn.
yeah, yeah.
It's
I
bad
don't
for
know,
Thrawn.
making a deal with these people, yeah, because I mean, think about the deal
No,
Macbeth got out of the Three Weird Sisters, and it's like, oh, okay, dude. But
yeah, look at every ally, every ally of the Night Sisters in Star Wars Galaxy, they ended up turning on each other,
yeah,
evil consuming evil, basically, because they're only out for themselves.
yeah. But their planet was cool. It had a little bit of a feeling of the visuals of Lord of the Rings to me, with the large statues and
Mhm.
everything, the
It
mystical.
did, like the lands between Mordor and Gondor or something.
Yeah, yeah. And then
Gotta say,
I liked the rat horse thing, rat wolf horse or whatever it
okay,
was that she
yeah,
rode. That was pretty cool.
I wanted to say, this is what a freak I am. The rat horse was my favorite part of the episode. And I really, really thought when I saw, oh God, another rideable animal, this is gonna be a disaster, because I hate when they try to ride animals, CGI animals and stuff. But I loved this creature. I
Yeah.
thought, and I was sitting there in my mind watching, going, Star Wars, you do it again. You create an
A cool
awesome
creature.
freaking creature and it has a personality and everything. You when you gotta stop coming up with these great aliens, and then they have the turtle alien.
Yeah, I didn't
The
care for
rock
the
snail alien.
yeah, I
And
didn't care for
literally
the
as I'm thinking
snails.
that, I was like, well, okay, one hand giveth, one hand taketh away, I guess.
That was exactly my feeling. They were a little too cutesy and they weren't anything really new, so I don't know. The most interesting
Yeah,
thing about them was their little village, all the details. They went to a lot of trouble to put
that was
details
cool.
together of the
Yeah,
way that they lived, and yeah, that was neat. And
but
I did like the fact that Ezra had connected with indigenous entities, like he's always had a connection with non-human animals, or
yeah,
in
but if
Rebels.
if these are the enemies of Thrawn and he's having trouble with this, uh, what? This does not bode well
So
for
does
my
this
need for great
does
villains
this
because
mean that the snail people went to war with Ezra to fight the stormtroopers and get
I'm
off?
just imagining the troopers walking through a field and they get hit with a rock in the head and they turn around. Who was that? There's nothing but rocks here. Okay, march on, get hit again. Who was that? They turn around. There's nothing but rocks here. I could swear those rocks are in a different place from last time. Don't worry about it. It's like these are the battles that go on. They're too
Yeah.
stupid to figure out that the cricket or snail or whatever they are, aliens are just right there. And these are really the people that Ezra's going to sit there and say, don't underestimate them. They're,
I
but
don't really have
whatever.
the feeling that Ezra would do that. It's just that he connects with animals, that I don't
I know,
know
but so
that.
he's been fighting Thrawn by himself, literally in the singular without a
No.
lightsaber or anything. And
See,
he's collected all these dog tags. What is he, the predator
that's
now?
what bothers me. There's not quite enough information there. I mean, a little bit of
There's
mystery is
no
okay, but
information.
there's too much
The information
mystery.
we have is very, very misleading to a not great conclusion to me.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like this is not an epic war. This is like people throwing sticks and stones at each other,
yeah, I agree.
which
There was
could
something
happen after
missing.
12 years in a place if you don't know how to survive and you don't know how to get resources. And obviously they've adapted some though because they've repaired their armor and ships and stuff.
Yeah.
But to be desperate enough to ally with Night Sisters,
Yeah. So
then the Night Sisters towards the end of the episode go, "Oh, by the way, there's a Jedi coming on a whale, and they'll be here in a minute." And Thrawn's like, "You telling me this, but you can't tell me where Ezra is." That's exactly what I expected him to say to them. Like, "Oh, there's a Jedi on a whale in outer space, like coming from hyperspace, a million miles away. And you can sense that. But a guy who's I can throw a rock and hit his encampment. You can't tell me where he is."
And this is a good point. This is exactly what I was thinking earlier in the series. I was like, why are people, when I was questioning Morgan even going to find Thrawn, and like, what if Thrawn doesn't want to be found? Maybe he's emperor of this other galaxy
That's what
already
I
and he
thought.
don't want
Yeah.
to come back. But
I
now,
thought by now he'd have this galaxy whipped into shape, like he'd be the great lawgiver and he'd be
but
like, I'll go conquer that galaxy when I have time. It'll be about 40 years.
But maybe it all hinges on that other power that Balin said that he felt there that was making them flee. And maybe that's our
Mhm.
hope for this being a radically different place. If that will turn out to be something really interesting and cool, um, maybe that will be neat. And I hope that they don't just run away from this other galaxy immediately where we don't get to see a little bit more of it. Um,
Well, there's been a lot of implications in the background from the runes on the um whatever a lot of people have identified those as runes from another storyline where there was a force using race from a distant galaxy. There's implications they're throwing around everywhere that could relate to anything.
yeah.
And Thrawn saying, what did he say? Death and resurrection.
Are
What
the
was his line there?
deceits that are employed by the Jedi and the Dathomiri with equal effect, or something like that. They're deceits that are deceptions that are regularly employed by the Jedi and the Dathomiri.
Mhm. So yeah, so um, we're already getting gothic organs and zombie troopers and Thrawn using death and resurrection, throwing those lines out
And didn't you
again.
hear where
Call
that
them
sounds
deceits.
he sounds like he's united with he's gotten permission with the witches to raid the catacombs for bodies. That's the cargo
Yeah,
that he's gonna
that's
put
what I was
aboard
trying to
his
figure out
ship.
what they were doing there. They were moving all the bodies into the Are those old buried Night Sisters?
That's what I wonder. Yeah, I don't know. It sounds
So
like
they have
maybe.
some use. Is that their food supply?
No, I think that what he's doing is he's making a zombie army, is what he's
Yeah,
doing.
it'd be hilarious if they had some crazy chef that just cooked up stew from dead bodies. Things have gotten that desperate. We've eaten every rat and every bat, rat, horse. Um, no, so there's going to be more resurrection. But how can he call it a deceit if he sees it happening?
Yeah, I know. And if he's
Maybe there's a
using it
catch.
he's
It's not
using it
going to work out
himself
as promised.
because he said, per agreement with
Right.
the great mothers of Dathomir, we are loading this cargo. And so I think he's working with them to make a zombie army of some kind. But yeah, this may backfire on
Or maybe
him
they want to
horribly.
bring, maybe they want to reclaim Dathomir in the Star Wars galaxy because their
Yeah.
people were wiped out there.
Yeah,
So
and it
maybe they
looks
want to
like
move to
maybe they're
Dathomir,
what
which
they're
which
being wiped
which
out
was
in
a
Peridia.
paradise. Let me tell you. If you like dry ice, fog everywhere, and swamps and creepy trees, it was a paradise. I don't
Well,
know why
may
they wouldn't want to move directly
well
there.
maybe I have a sense that they're losing control of Peridia too, because that what Balin said
Yeah.
was what was he said? Oh, it was a wonderful book. He said he was real uneasy when the sisters left him at that hinge, and he was with Shin, and they started talking, and he said, "This is a
Hmm.
land of dreams and madness." Children's stories
Hmm.
come to life.
Hmm.
And she said, "Oh, sometimes stories are just stories." And then he talks about having seen everything burn and the Jedi temple burning. And he says, as you get older, you look back at history and you realize it's all inevitable. The fall of the Jedi, rise of the Empire, it repeats again and again and again. And she says, but isn't it our time now to come into power? And he says, that sort of power is fleeting. What I seek is the beginning, so I may finally bring this cycle to an end. And then later in the episode, he tells her that there is something there that is a power that he thinks that the Dathomiri are fleeing, that is calling out to him, that that stirs there. So it sounds like maybe, and you saw that it looked like everything was ruins there.
Hmm.
So it sounds like maybe the Dathomiri are dying out on that planet too. Well, maybe that's one of the reasons why they
Well,
want to support Thrawn coming to our galaxy, whatever
so he,
galaxy.
so he's like a Khaleesi type figure. He wants to break the cycle.
Yes, yeah,
If history's a wheel, he wants to break the wheel.
yeah.
And he's saying go back to the beginning, or I want to use the beginning. Does he mean like the first of something, or does he mean literally going back in time and
Hmm.
rewriting history?
Huh. That's interesting. But let's
Um,
see. He had another speech where she asked him, "Do you miss the?" Shin asked him, "Do you miss the Jedi Order?" And he said, "I miss the idea of it, but not the truth, the weakness. There was no future there." And she's asked him, "Well, do you see a future in this wasteland?" And he said, "I see what was once the great witch kingdom of Dathomir, of the Dathomiri, and perhaps they flee a power greater than their own." And then he talked about this something that was stirring there and that was calling to him. So it seems like he wants, I kind of, you know what, I kind of hope, I hope he gets what he wants. I hope that he's
it
not like,
won't be good for him.
I hope it's not, I hope it won't like be a possession or anything like that. I hope he starts some kind of other order. You know what I mean? I hope he actually
Yeah.
creates something different, and then we can see how it interacts with the Jedi that are left in this
Mhm.
galaxy. So it's like I kind of want to see something new and different rise up and see
I,
what
I
happens.
I honestly feel like he was intended that this is going back into it's pure speculation, but I feel like maybe he was intended to be the vessel of whatever this ancient evil is or ancient power. His intentions are good, but he's going to be corrupted by it. And I feel like he would be the guy pursuing Thrawn and Ezra and Ahsoka back to our galaxy or back to the Star
Yeah,
Wars galaxy, because they're going to need some threat after the First Order.
yeah, yeah.
if
Yeah,
that's
that's
even
what I
still.
hope. I hope it's just not done away with. Whatever this thing is that's rising is, I hope it's just not done away with within a single season or something.
No, I think whatever. I honestly, I think whatever it was supposed to possess him. Use his knowledge of that galaxy to say like, oh, there's a whole another
Other
thing we haven't
galaxy,
consumed.
yeah,
Yeah, we haven't
yeah.
consumed yet. Let's go get it. And this will give us motivation to get going or whatever. Because it's kind of like one of those things, those gothic things like you if you're gonna dare go disturb the tomb to go get your family artifact out of it or lift a curse or whatever, you have to deal with the fact that it's sleeping. It has a different sense of time.
Yeah,
Don't disturb old curses or old. But when you go and mess with it, that's when the potential is that it follows you back out.
yeah.
It escapes into the world, the world you're in, and you've created a greater evil than you intended. So that's my thought on this so far. But I've been wrong on just about everything, so I think so far, except for the whale riding. I knew that was going to happen.
It's interesting to me too that Balin is so divorced from the Jedi now. After even when Thrawn recognizes him as a former Jedi general and he knows his name and everything and recognizes him, he's like, I left the Jedi long ago. He's so separate from it that the Dathomir Night Sisters or the Night Sisters, they're Peridia, don't recognize him as a Jedi. They hone in on Sabine immediately, and it says it reeks of Jedi, and they
That's what
put
I
her,
thought too.
yeah, and they don't even do a second glance to Balin. So it's interesting to me that he's so now away from the Jedi Order that they wouldn't even remotely connect him with them. So I really think he's keying into some other power that's going to be something completely different, and that I kind of excited to see that.
Did you hear some yelling from the other room?
No, oh no,
There's football going on at the same time as we're
oh
doing this,
dear,
and so
oh dear.
there was some cheering from the other room. So something good happened for
Thrawn, Thrawn, Thrawn,
Thrawn,
Thrawn, Thrawn,
Thrawn,
Thrawn.
Thrawn, Thrawn. But
That's like.
this luck. Um, yeah, blue meanie too. Maybe I was thinking of like a blue meanie when they look kind of sad and all that.
And Carillion had an interesting comment
I just
that
wish they hadn't done his
the
hair exactly like Hitler's. That was what was weird for me.
Carillion said Thrawn's portrayal was okay, but like Greedo and I were texting the other night, it's like he's just another Imperial baddie, only blue.
Yeah, so far,
Yeah,
I don't think they understand. Uh, Star Wars is always trying to expand, and Disney Plus wants to bring people into these shows, but we want as fans continuity, and we
mm,
want to see things we've seen before expanded upon that we liked. Thrawn is one of those things, and I don't want an entire episode just full of exposition about who Thrawn is, but good storytelling, you can show exactly who Thrawn is through action, right?
yeah,
And you don't need to know the history of a character to know to be afraid of them.
yeah.
There's ways to illustrate that this is a competent, formidable opponent. And him having an army and stuff, lots of people have private armies that we've seen so far. It was impressive, but for that to be the sole thing they kind of relied upon, I was hoping he'd show up and pull some kind of Sherlock Holmes stuff,
Yeah,
or
I agree.
something.
I think they're relying a little bit too much on what Star
The
Wars fans
design.
know
And
of
what we know
him. What we
about him.
know of him, and
Right.
mainstream
They got
audiences
to
don't know that.
remember there's a whole ton of people that
Yeah,
don't know who Ezra is. I've seen people say, why are they attached to Ezra? What's going on there? What is the
yeah,
deal? And this didn't explain either. They just showed up and hugged each other, and they didn't tell us. They didn't say he didn't say how's so and so, how's I mean,
yeah,
maybe did a little bit, but and that's another thing. Sabine, why didn't she why didn't she come clean and tell him fully what was going on?
yeah,
Do you
yeah.
think?
That was weird
She's
too. Yeah,
embarrassed
let's
her.
just not talk about that right now. That's like,
Yeah,
how
yeah, they
the
could
heck
show
did
up.
you
They
get
could show
here?
up right behind me, or they could have had a tracking device on me. But
Yeah, that was odd.
also, she's carrying his saber. They didn't bring that up either.
Yeah.
Did he give it to her? I don't even remember that from Rebels.
And then
She,
it was like he just assumed that she had a way out of that galaxy, like she had come
yeah,
to take him back. And she
right.
made no response to that. It was that all of that was really kind of odd. So
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. That was kind of the underwhelming aspect of their reunion. If they had had a little bit more talk about their friends or something, um,
Well, these characters do have a long history of bickering, uh,
yeah,
friendly bickering, and sometimes not so friendly. So maybe they're leaving that for the next episode. The bad guys show up, and he's like, "What's going on? What happened?" And then that can give him something to bicker about. As it's
yeah,
revealed to him how bad the situation actually
I
is.
led Thrawn right to you.
Yeah. But if I had been her, if I'd been either one of them, I would have had 100 questions.
Yeah,
There's no way that scene would have ended without Ezra telling a story.
yeah,
I
yeah,
know he said we got to hurry and help them pack because you need knowledge to know how to react to this whole situation you're in. She doesn't know the situation she's in. She doesn't know much more than she knew before they got there.
yeah.
Um, and he doesn't know anything either. So I don't know. We'll see. But overall, there was a lot of triumphant design. I felt music
Mm-hmm,
was great.
mm-hmm.
Um, costumes were great. Even the alien slugs, I'll give them credit. They weren't a terrible design or anything. It's
Yeah.
just hopefully I don't become a main. Hopefully we don't get a slug rock creature Jedi or anything. but but the action in the episode was just kind of a journey across an unknown land,
Yeah,
and then a couple of conversations. And then a lot of implications.
yeah, yeah. And
I did
so
like my favorite thing about Thrawn so far is that he said, "If any whale approaches me, terminate it with prejudice."
he
Extreme
did.
prejudice.
He
I
did.
was like, "Yeah,
But it
Thrawn,
wasn't
Thrawn,
ominous.
Thrawn."
Wasn't it ominous when Balin said, though, this place is a graveyard? Said the whales come here to die. This is a graveyard. And then it showed all above them. I'm like, oh, great. Is this not like warning you people to go back to the galaxy you came from?
I know the explorers are always too stupid to take the hint. They see the giant skulls and the ring around the planet made of whale bones. It's
And then
like,
the three
the,
weird sisters,
yeah,
the color of
it's like
blood.
it's like the natives are chanting "Kong, Kong, Kong." It'll be fine. It'll be fine. What could go wrong?
Yeah. So yeah. So who was our most valuable player?
I don't know. I wish.
Carillian's choice was
Oh,
Sabine.
right.
And it was kind of Sabine's journey to find Ezra in this episode. What about you?
My first my first thing that jumps to mind is the howler, the rat bat, that horse. I really loved that thing. I really
Yeah,
did.
I love the howler
I would have
too.
been crushed if anything had happened to it.
Rat Wolf
Uh,
Horse.
yeah, I immediately had a better connection to it than I do some of these characters. So I got to go with the howler. And second
Okay.
honorable mention um, would be Ezra because it was so surprising to see him. I don't think he did anything great, but it was just surprising to see him, and it was good to see that the guy playing him can act and
Yeah.
everything. You know what I mean? Like it felt like he was inhabiting a character he'd done before.
Yeah.
There was no disconnect, like there was a little bit with Thrawn, which is funny because he's played the character before. But I just felt like the actor was given information we don't have or something,
Yeah.
and I didn't understand his choices because I didn't know I don't know the whole picture. So
Yeah.
um,
Well, for
I
me,
expected Thrawn to have much more of a strong for real, where he appeared strong but seemed weak
yeah.
underneath it all to me. I expected him to even possibly be in a weak scenario, but be super strong. He's the type that's just never phased, even when the ship is sinking. He's got a plan. He's got a way out. He's the one that never loses his cool. Um, so anyway, but yeah, that's the howler. Is my
the
opinion.
howler. Mine is the Mystics. It was Balin again. I loved all the conversations he had with Shin.
Balin so far is MVP of the whole show,
Yeah, I love
without
that,
question.
and Ray Stevenson is just so wonderful in
What
that
a Can
character.
you imagine if he did get what he wanted or whatever? Say he decides to come back and gain power in the Star Wars galaxy, him versus Luke,
Yeah.
him versus all the good guys.
That's what
Oh
I
my
was kind
God.
of hoping it would. That would be really cool. But I love him.
I would have settled for either one, either being an enemy or an ally. If he turned into an ally, he's just so
Yeah,
magnetic.
yeah, yeah, me too. And my second choice is that Enoch because he scared the crap out of me when he turned to the camera.
Yeah, he'd be my third. He'd be my third one. That was the
You're like,
cool
I'm
design.
like, Enoch. Oh my God, what the hell is this? So
There
yeah,
was a
I
lot
like
of
that.
references to almost like to Japanese and Persian kind of
Hmm.
uh, iconography. And of course,
Yeah,
Kylo Ren did the same thing with his helmet,
yeah.
but of course, his just was broken because of a snit fit, not because anything he
An,
broke it.
an emo fit.
Maybe all the stormtroopers had snit fits when they realized they weren't going to get home.
But yeah.
This is your commander, Thrawn. I have good news and I have bad news. Which do you want first? I've calculated that your snit fit will last exactly 45 minutes. You will find gold
Good
thread to
to put
repair
on a
your armor
mask.
has been set aside, along with red bandages.
I
Now,
mean, though, I still got that branded in my brain that got turned into the camera, and I'm like, oh, what is that? Oh
yeah.
my God. When they do something different with the stormtroopers,
Mhm.
I always like that. So that's cool.
You know what I see? I see the next Boba Fett, the next Captain Phasma. You're dropping down a
No,
long hole. You're dropping down a deep
no.
hole. You're gonna fire your gun twice, maybe, for like, and you're
Oh,
gonna go down a deep hole.
no, not
Star
Enoch.
Wars has let me down so many times on those minor characters like that. It's like all we knew about him was he was Enoch and he had a cool suit. And he dropped down a deep hole.
Okay, so what's our ratings? Caroline gave this episode an 8.
Wow.
Yeah, he gave
I'm
this
nowhere near
episode an
that.
8. Okay, what's
Um,
yours?
mine's a 6.
Oh
Above
wow, that
average. Six
that
point five.
low, huh?
6.5.
I give it a 7.
That's not low.
Yeah, I give it a
That's
7,
that's
so I'm
good.
not much
That's
higher than
decent.
you.
That's what
Yeah,
it was. It was a decent episode.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, when you
There,
get above 7, you're in the territories,
yeah. And it was cool to see
Now, if they
Thrawn,
terminate the
Ezra,
whale
and
with extreme
Dathomir.
prejudice, if the whale is obliterated and just blubber, space blubber was blown
Mine
everywhere, and
gained
the
extra
whale
point.
world, this might be the greatest episode coming up ever of Star Wars. If they could just, use those shell creatures as mines in space, like strap explosives to them and put them out in space, then that would be extra good. And then if they have Ewoks enslaved and they just decide we're leaving for the other galaxy, execute all the Ewok prisoners, please. That would put it over the top.
So what do we think? Let's end with projections for the final. We've only got 2 episodes left. What do you think is going to go down in those episodes?
Well, if there is another big bad out there, that's the one that's going to be take over the last episode, like I thought Thrawn would. Um, or will be like the cliffhanger. I think Balin will get left behind, maybe, or stay behind because he's going to start feeling that call more and more, and he's going to tell the others to go, or they're going to go, or something. And he'll end up having a tete-a-tete with whatever power this is, come up with some other reason, why it's not Ray Stevenson when they continue the story. But that would be my guess, and I think I really I think Thrawn must have a deal with the Night Sisters, and they're going to go back to the original galaxy and go to Dathomir and drop them off or something.
Yeah,
It's the only thing I could think that they're want to be doing to go maybe to restart their race. That's why they're
yeah,
bringing, like you said, all the dead ones with them. But as far as Thrawn's plan, you'd figure that the Imperials would come to heel if he shows up. We could have a battle in end of episode 7, episode 8, with the Republic getting surprised.
yeah. Because I
And
think
perhaps an Imperial territory was an Imperial sector and Republic sector.
Hera and the Republic have to figure into this again a little bit at the end. So I think that's a good projection. Um, but I'm wondering if Thrawn comes back. We already got that scene where there were Imperial warlords that were renegade warlords in Mandalorian season 3 that were having that meeting. I'm wondering if
Right.
some of them might show up as actual characters,
That's what I'm
returning.
thinking. He's going to pull those because I don't think Palaeon's here. Palaeon's in the Star Wars galaxy.
Yeah, he is.
So he's waiting for Thrawn to return. He's somehow had some kind of instructions gotten to him somehow, or he's bluffing, and using Thrawn as his, image to hold that part of the remnant together.
Yeah,
And just using that promise of someday he will return and we will be restored. And it's like he doesn't really know to expect it or not. But
yeah.
I
I
don't know
think
how this all fits in with the First Order, though. When they start calling themselves the First Order, will Thrawn call it the First Order? Um, is the First Order a reference to the beginning that Balin talked about?
that's a good
Um,
point. Yeah. So I don't know, but I think you're right that Balin is probably going to be left behind. I wonder if Ahsoka's coming with the whales, that might be the way that Ezra and Sabine get back. But I wondered if they might be left behind too, because they mentioned that a couple of times that they would be, it didn't matter if they would be left behind and they wouldn't be a problem, Thorne said. And he
that
said,
might be that might be the way they end the season is with them stuck there,
yeah,
so they can figure out in the next one how to get back. Or they stay there. And I always thought that they might be a one-way trip, and that all these events that are going to happen with these characters are going to occur in this new galaxy.
yeah,
I didn't think of it as being a dead galaxy already drained by some evil power, so much it might be. But the little snail creatures showed us that there's good,
yeah,
normal
yeah,
people still surviving around wherever in this galaxy, possibly. So I really don't know. I don't know.
yeah,
I would normally they've got Valen in there for a reason, and I think he's going to be the forced part of the story. But Ahsoka seems obsessed with Thrawn,
mm,
so this is another thing of will she face another failure in letting Thrawn escape? Will Thrawn end up going to jail like a Moff Gideon and like a Joker type character that we just bring out when we need him to escape?
yeah,
Will he go to jail and sit out the whole First Order conflict, and then we can bring him back as the villain after that? I mean,
huh.
I just
That's an
I don't know
interesting
any of this.
idea.
I don't know any of
Yeah,
this stuff.
yeah. And I
Um,
don't know how far they're thinking of taking this, like beyond the sequel trilogy or what, you know.
yeah.
So,
And do you see? I don't see Thrawn as the type to spearhead or mastermind the bringing the Emperor back from the dead
no, I don't
project.
either. No,
So maybe they'll leave that as the Emperor did that on his
on his
own using
own. Yeah,
loyalists and Sith loyalists and stuff. Um, Maybe it
yeah,
links somehow to what Balin's going to find. Maybe that ancient evil goes to the Sith homeworld from the sequel trilogy. I hope not. I just
I'm
don't want to hear anything about the sequel trilogy. It's
I'm
just
trying to
very sad.
remember that I thought I saw something in the internet decoding of the map at the closing credits of
Mhm.
the show that the symbols that look like they were derived from the Sith language, even though they were different from it. The symbols
I
that were
see.
the names for all the different planets. So I'm wondering if this isn't like an origin of Sith power or something in this other galaxy.
Could very well be. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which they have a lot of characters in canon they could draw back on. Um, but anyway, I think we've covered just about
hmm
everything. Um, it was more of a kind of not a filler, but just a visual establishing episode.
yeah,
There wasn't
setting things
a lot
up.
of
Yeah,
action. Um, it just kind of set the table for what's going to happen next. And it's not real clear to me what the conflict is, except preventing Thrawn from going back.
yeah,
Um, so we'll see. I don't
yeah.
know. I don't see Ahsoka and Thrawn as being like the type they're going to throw down and fight each other.
Yeah, me either. I'm
So
wondering. Because did we, I don't remember in Rebels,
for
did they
Ahsoka,
actually meet? Did they ever actually meet in Rebels? I don't remember them meeting.
don't think
I know that he met all the other
I don't think
rebels,
so.
but yeah. Hmm.
The identity of Ahsoka wasn't revealed until pretty late.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, and I always think of this in practical terms too, like for your finale, you got to have lightsabers fighting lightsabers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just
Yeah.
seems like you almost have to, even though they've done a lot of that already. So that almost just leaves Balin
Mm-hmm.
and
Balin and Shen.
yes. Yeah, like either Shin becomes the bad one that's fighting them, or it could also be Sabine. She's got a lightsaber.
Yeah.
Flee, turn her dark, but it would be awful quick in a couple episodes from what we've
Well,
seen.
we don't know
But
too.
it's just hard to imagine. We need another condensation.
Could Ezra have made a lightsaber? We don't know. Are there kyber crystals, a lightsaber source in this other galaxy? Could he have made
Yeah,
it?
he could have spent some of his time there trying to find the source of all that.
Yeah.
That's very possible. Yeah.
So he may have a new lightsaber
Um,
himself.
yeah, and maybe there'll be an extra at some point from someone. Um, I just don't know. I'm trying to figure out who's going to fight who. Balin still seems like the big bad to really. He's the one who beat Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Kicked her into the world between worlds, or kicked her so hard she went into the world between worlds. So, so it just seems like she has to overcome him. Maybe she's going to be chasing Thrawn and realize that Balin's a bigger threat,
Yeah.
and that her destiny as Ahsoka the White is to deal more with the existential force threats than it is
Yeah.
with the day-to-day who's the governance of the galaxy threats.
Yeah.
All right, well, we've gone on long enough.
Okay. Let's wrap it up.
Thank you, folks, for being with us. Do you have any final thoughts or anything you want to say?
I'm just looking forward to the last two episodes.
Huh?
I hope the last two
Okay.
episodes be
Just
good.
Traitor, we hope you get back with us soon. Go ahead and what?
Oh, I was just said that I'm looking forward to the last two episodes. So I've been enjoying this season.
I am too. Yeah. And leave us some comments about what you thought about Thrawn, what you think is going to happen. Please leave spoilers out of it. We're a spoiler-free channel. We try to be. We can't control you. Do what you want, but if you're going to speculate, just make it speculation. Believe me, a lot of people get so much enjoyment from spoilers, but it's so much better when you don't have them. It's so much better. So, but yeah, please leave us some comments about what you think is going to happen next, what you think of what's been going on, um, and we appreciate it. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Trader, we'll catch you next time, and we'll be thinking about you till then. Hope everything is going well, and that's it for this time. We'll catch you next time. Yeah, no.
Ewok Slayer.
All right. Did you record that?
Yeah.
I've also watched him in his